service, you're all here. Well, thank you so much for showing up this evening, and we want to thank the Heritage Presbyterian Church here for being so kind as to host this tonight for this first ever meeting of Authors on Call. What we are is a group of authors we're a group of authors that are looking for work. Seriously, if you do represent a club or an organization, we'd be glad to talk to you about appearing and presenting individual programs at your clubs, your libraries, your organizations. And that's what we're going to be all about in the coming weeks and months, we hope. I wrote a few books here. I've written 9 now, they say. And we have 4 of them still in publication. This last year I retired finally from Channel 8 after 54 years. And actually, the fellow coming a little later here has got me beat. That's Big Chuck. We've been there going on, what, 58 years now, Chuck?
Something like that.
Something like that. You're aiming for 60, aren't you? But in any event, my last book was called The Best of One-Tank Trips, and that was probably the best assignment I ever had in my life. For over 35 years, I got to travel all over Ohio and places outside the state, too, seeing things that just interested me that we could get back and talk about on television. We had a great time doing it. I hated to finally give it up, but age finally caught up with me, and I decided it was best that I decide to be the one to decide the road was finally ending. But the books are here tonight. The last one is called The Best of One-Tank Trips. We went through all the trips over the years, and we selected about 100 trips that people had asked for, the ones that I liked, and the special places, and then we went back and made sure they were still the same as I remembered them, and they were, thank goodness. And we also added a few of the little things that happen while you're writing a book, because if you ever do write a book, you're going to be asked to go out and promote it sometime. You know, like tonight, we didn't know if 5 people or 15 people would show up here tonight. And I went to a place in Strongsville one night, and we expected maybe 15 or 20 people, and instead 150 showed up. And I'm standing there trying to give a presentation to them. They had a speaker system set up with speakers hanging on the wall right behind me, and I had a tall glass of ice water that I was going to drink when I finished my presentation. I got done, and I started to move a foot away from the microphone, and my feet got tangled up in the wires to the PA system. I went down on my face on a concrete floor. My feet wrapped in the cables, pulled both speakers off the wall, broke the PA system, pulled the rest of the system off the podium. I am lying on the floor trying to figure if I'd broken anything. My wife leaped to my side. Bonnie was right there, and she's going, "Don't touch him, don't touch him." And I opened my eyes, and I looked up, and here is this young girl, about 13 years old, with very large, dark glasses, looking about 6 inches from my face, and she says, "Are you hurt?" And I went, "I don't think so." And she says, "Well, if you're hurt, I can help you because I'm a Girl Scout. And if I help you, I'll get a badge." And that's what happens when you sell books. Fires me.
You know, all you guys have been so good. In case you forget who I am. This is my first book. People ask me, how long did it take you to write? I said, 50 years. 50 years of stories in here. Yeah. Starting with some of my best stories really came from my plain dealer days when I was traveling with TVs all over. I was with the Indians in Chicago. And this is about the 1979 season. Up in the press box in Old Comiskey Park. And into the press box comes the most hated man in Cleveland sports. Now this was before Modell. This was Frank Lane. Frank Lane is the guy who traded Rocky Colavito in 1960 and almost put the Indians out of business. attendance plummeted, and so to save the franchise, Gabe Paul had to trade to get him back in 1965.
Hi everybody, welcome, and thank you so much for being a part of this. I got to tell you, my wife and I, Janice, my co-author, and I are just so excited to be here with an incredible room of talent, really. Some of the authors here have entertained us for many years, and please take advantage of all the opportunities. A lot of book authors, or if you want to just pick up the books. It's wonderful reading. The only problem with all these authors is if you pick up the book, you don't put them down.
For 60 years, and we seek to be disciples making a difference.
Hi.
First off, we have a rummage sale coming up on Saturday, April 29th. I think it starts at 9 in the morning. So we promise that it will be everything you never knew you wanted.
A new era had begun, and the new Big Chuck and Little John show was born. September of 1979, and Chuck and John vowed to bring more class to the show.
We're beginning with Leah and Matt Rafferty.
Hello everyone, I'm Matt Rafferty.
And I'm Leah Rafferty.
So Leah and I met at CNN back in the 1980s. We both worked behind the scenes at Headline News. And a few years later we got married, and then we relocated to Northeast Ohio. Leah's family, Leah's from Kent, and so we wanted to be closer
That's
to
our
her. So we were both lucky enough to get jobs at Fox 8. Leah worked in the control room directing the 6 o'clock and the 10 o'clock news. And I worked in the newsroom as a video editor, putting together stories like Neil's one-tank trips.
And I was able to direct some of Big Chuck and Little John shows, which was a lot of fun, as you can imagine.
It's Dan Coughlin. Barry, good job, man.
Oh, thank you. You also. Can't wait to see it.
I bring you greetings from sunny Put-in Bay. I'm Bob Adamo, and I'm a rascal. And I don't know how in the world I get drawn in with these celebrity authors. I'm the only one in the group who's not a celebrity. And I get to hang out and associate with them. And I'd like to encourage you, if your group is looking for a speaker, to think about inviting one of us to come in and be a speaker. I've written 9 books now on Put-in Bay, and I'm working on number 10. It's in editing. Golden Torpedo is going to be out this summer, followed next year by Chincoteague Calm. I'm actually going down to Chincoteague, Virginia. You might have heard of the book Misty of Chincoteague. So I was down there last summer, and I went over to visit the island, and I saw this rocket base on Wallops Island, and all I had to hear is that they've had some problems with rockets exploding. Pierce the Veil is a corporate takeover battle book that goes from Put-in Bay, Northeast Ohio, to Wall Street. And it's a little bit based on what I ran into when I was working at Goodyear, and Sir James Goldsmith appeared on the horizon in 1986, and what we went through. And I wrote Promised Land. Promised Land is serial murders in Put-in Bay and down in New Orleans. And we brought in Hurricane Katrina. The Other Side of Hell goes from snow and ice to paradise.